Today I talked to Gianni of HUGS Platform. This amazing platform allows microtasks to be performed at scale. This is important to the future of the gig economy and also to companies and governments who want to get stuff done faster and cheaper via microtasks. Enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome to the Kastoshi podcast, and today I'm talking to Gianni of the HUGS platform. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, Zubair. Thank you for inviting me. Welcome, everyone.
So, could you, in 2 minutes, just explain what HUGS does?
Yes, of course. So HUGS are building a protocol in the blockchain at the moment on top of the Solana blockchain. And this protocol is like a decentralized oracle to let people make all sorts of contributions and then have those contributions checked by a network of reviewers. In essence, we're looking at data that comes in from people or data sets that can be found on the internet, for instance, in the future, but that cannot be easily analyzed and approved by an algorithm. There's not really a solution for this at the moment. We found a way to tackle this, and we built a protocol around it. And on top of that, we're building like a couple of tools to make sure that developers can actually use the protocol easily, plus some proof of concepts to showcase what is possible with the protocol. That's it in a nutshell, basically.
Okay. Is it okay if I dig in a bit? Because I've read the white paper and I've got quite a few questions.
Yes, of course. Shoot.
So, firstly, is this going to be public tasks or private ones? Because I've seen another site which runs over Bitcoin Lightning called Microtasks, where people get paid a few sats to do really tiny tasks.
Yeah.
Kind of Mechanical Turk style. How does it compare to that, or am I totally off board here?
No. I think there is some analogy there. There are a couple of examples in the market, even outside of the blockchain space, like Amazon's Mechanical Turk, for instance, that do these kind of microtasking things. There are plenty of examples of people collaborating on several platforms and doing small tasks as well. And let's think outside of the IT space there and look at examples like Uber, for instance, where people work together for a company that has the same goal for everyone. What we were looking for is something that overlaps those two worlds, where we say, okay, you've got an idea to let the crowd collaborate on something and work towards a common goal, and you want to build a tool for this, like an app, for instance, can be a web app or a smartphone app or a combination or whatever. But the problem is that at the moment there are hardly any tools available to build this quickly and in a secure way and do this in a decentralized way. So you either have to build your own platform from scratch, like companies like Airbnb did and TripAdvisor, and just to gather input from the crowd, or you have to set up a platform like Amazon Mechanical Turk, for instance. But the scope is very narrow there, so it focuses on a particular kind of tasks. What we said is we wanna open this up and let developers use their creativity and say, hey, here's a set of tools. Anything that has to do with microtasking or with collaborative working or crowdsourcing or whatever you want to call it, you've got an idea, you quickly want to deploy this idea. You want to make sure that everything happens in a secure way, and you want to tap into an existing ecosystem because you don't want to waste time on building up your own support group, let's say, your own network of people that actually contribute and review things. By having a tool that is built on top of our platform, it's our aim to be able to offer that ecosystem as well and say, hey, you can build this very quickly. It's secured in the blockchain, and you can tap into our network, into our ecosystem. We looked for a solution that does that bridges this gap, and we were unable to find one so far. So yeah, just to wrap up the answer to this question, what we saw is very quickly after we launched this idea into the world, that companies started to contact us and say, hey, this is exactly what we need. We've been looking for a solution that does this, but couldn't find anything. So yeah.
How did these companies hear about you?
Well, we did not use the traditional way of communicating like most crypto companies do, for instance, because we don't consider ourselves a traditional crypto company. So we focused on LinkedIn mostly, and just published some articles on LinkedIn. Yeah, not really knowing what the effect was going to be, and surprisingly, we very quickly we got contacted by C-level people from large companies that said, "Hey, we need to talk because I read this piece that you wrote on LinkedIn, and it's really interesting, and it solves a problem of us." So yeah.
Okay, and so what is the product that you're going to be shipping in the beginning? Is it going to be a smart contract built in Solana, or is it going to be a smart contract plus a user interface on top?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So we've been brainstorming a lot internally about the exact approach of how to put this in the market. We could, of course, launch the protocol and say, hey, this is a protocol. There's like a simple API and a little bit of documentation, and we're still working on the rest, and just start playing with it. But we saw that this would probably not be the most efficient way to quickly grow this and turn this into a widespread ecosystem. So we decided to build that backend layer so that we have all the core features there, and then look for some partners with whom we can quickly build a couple of apps, and we will build them together with those pilot partners, actually, so that we partners that are established companies that have lots of clients and lots of users, and where we can tie these things together, actually, and say, okay, here's a couple of apps that are built on top of our platform. You can clearly see the possibilities of what you can build on top of the platform in different areas of expertise, in different business niches, and then it will accelerate what we're doing in that respect. And then slowly, it's a bit a bottom-up solution, I would say, rather than top-down, where we focus on the apps first. We've got the technology in the back end, but because we're doing those pilots together with the first couple of clients, it helps us to actually further develop and improve the underlying layer. And then once that is done, the next step would then be to provide an API and provide software development kits and provide documentation, invite a couple of developers, ask them, hey, can you try and build something as well on top of the platform? And then finally, the last step would be that we open up the protocol. It's our aim to have a solution that is largely open source there in the end, and a solution that is even low code, or even maybe even no code, where developers who want to build a microtasking app or a crowdsourcing app can actually drag and drop, and everything, it uses all the power of the backend, but they would not need the technical expertise to do so. So that's the end goal, actually. But yeah, I would say our approach is a bit the opposite of what a lot of companies do in this space.
Oh, okay. So as I'm a developer myself, that's something I might be interested in trying. So I'm guessing, does this mean that, what's the Solana wallet? Is it Phantom, is it?
Yeah, well, actually, we're wallet agnostic. I'm not sure what your question is going to be there, but
When you say wallet
it,
agnostic, does that mean it's usable for MetaMask?
well, the thing is, we're even blockchain agnostic. So we chose Solana because it fits our purpose at the moment. It's a high throughput and it's low cost, but we don't want to be stuck to a specific blockchain, or to a specific technology or specific wallet or whatever. We're not going to offer a wallet ourselves. We don't do custodial services for crypto or anything on top of what we're doing. Yes, there will be a token, a utility token in the protocol to pay for some fees, but it is our aim, once we backtested everything on Solana, to actually open up the technology and offer it on multiple blockchains. And then it's up to the developer to then decide which blockchain they want to use and what kind of wallet they want to use. So yeah, sorry, it's not a straight answer to your question, but I think this is the correct answer, to be honest.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say, so if I wanted to do something today, I could download the Phantom wallet and get on and use your system in the test net or something of Solana. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're developing in a closed environment. So it's not like you can start testing it at the moment. So we have not launched the testnet or anything. We chose to work with specific corporate clients instead and say, okay, we are going to work in a closed environment at the moment, work with those clients because they have a specific use case. They approached us with a specific use case and asked us, can you build this on top of what you're creating, with a protocol? For us, it's ideal because, we can initially skip the step of having a test net and doing some testing on live cases, of real businesses, and then take it from there. Take those learnings, those key learnings that we have there. We'll probably find some issues and some bugs, like it usually goes with software, and then we can fix that before we open this up to the rest of the public.
Okay. Yeah. I think my take was because my own company is a low code tool in the crypto space. So I was wondering so I might be interested in doing something like that. Okay. Okay, so you're actually testing live with companies at the moment. So could you give me, and it could be, I realize you can't probably discuss the customers you're working with now, but could you give me an example of a microtask? You could make a kind of contrived example if you want.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That the companies that we're working with at the moment, they're major companies, multi-billion-dollar companies. So we had to sign NDAs with them. So I cannot share what the specific examples are. I can give you some generic examples, maybe. A lot is possible on top of the engine, and we started making a list of what kind of apps for what kind of industries could we build something. So one of them could be in the smart city space, for instance, to keep your city clean, where you say, okay, we create an app that people can use when they walk around the city and they see something that's wrong in the city. They want the city to be safe, they want it to be clean, they want broken stuff to be fixed. We spoke to a couple of mayors of different cities of different countries in Europe, and we asked them how could we solve this particular kind of problem, and they said, well, most of them had tried several ways of solving this, and for instance, they send out staff members that work for the city to identify problems, or they do survey amongst the population. But all of that takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. It's not very, very effective. There's no real-time feedback and stuff. So we said, okay, we've got a suggestion there. What if there's an app? You walk around in the city, you open the app, you say there's a hole here in the street that needs to be fixed, or there's trash laying around here, or I don't know, broken traffic light, whatever. You take a picture of it, we capture your GPS coordinates. You can type in some text if you want, and then we upload it and send it to the network. Now, the problem there, and this goes for everything that has to do with this kind of decentralized microtasking, is that very soon you will get spammers and scammers that try to game the system. So we need to avoid that. So to do so, we're actually creating a reviewer system that will be at the very core of what we're building in the protocol. It's very technical what it looks like in the back end, but in the front end it works. It could work like this. This is just one example of how you could use it. We could then say, you know, that notification comes in of someone, you know, that there's a broken traffic light, for instance. Instead of sending it to the city directly, making sure that it's not spam, we can send out a notification to people that are in the neighborhood and say, hey, you're a reviewer on this platform. Go and check whether that traffic light is really broken, whether it's not spam or anything. And this is a location, and go and check it. A bit like Pokemon Go, but then for businesses. So that's one way. That's one way to use it, actually. Now, our engine that we're building is perfectly capable of processing all those data transactions, all that data input, and then, you know, the review process and stuff is behind it. We've got a couple of things that we're testing to make sure that the reputation of those reviewers and those contributors, that is back tested. So, you know, that if people try to game the system, that we can discard them. And then, you know, the next step is then, once the data is the data quality is ensured, is that we then send it to the client, in this case the local city administration. I don't know, maybe second example, like an online example, for instance, because this was more offline. Imagine that you're building a wiki around a certain topic. Let's say that you're building a new wiki. You want to be the Wikipedia for everything that has to do with blockchain and crypto. Now, there's plenty of initiatives there, and of course we have Wikipedia and all sorts of other tools that are available there, and plenty of websites. But let's just say you've got this idea and you say, okay, I want to do something with the crowd and I want to make it better, and, you know, I want to be the reference there, but I'm going to need a lot of people working on this, hundreds, maybe thousands, that actually help to contribute and make this grow day by day. It's impossible to manage at that point. So it's, you know, especially if you're doing this as a non-profit, for instance, or as a hobby project, maybe, you know, you don't have the funds usually, you don't have the people to actually manage all those people. So you need to find a way to do this in a decentralized way, and to make sure that you can check everything. So there, the system of the reviewers comes into play as well. Now you might say, okay, we already have wikis, and you know, it already works. There's people reviewing it, and there's people making changes and stuff. The thing is that you're not getting rewarded for them at the moment, and you don't really know what the reputation is of the person who actually makes a contribution at the moment. So if it's a new person, you don't know who that person is. So the way we're building this is that people will be able, or users will be able, to actually stake a certain number of coins to actually back up their reputation and say, okay, I want to do like 100 contributions on this wiki.
Is this all with HUGS? Is this all with HUGS tokens?
Yes, this is with the HUGS token.
So people aren't paid in dollars or pounds; they're paid with the HUGS token as well.
They're paid with the HUGS token, okay. Yeah. Okay. So what we can do then is, first of all, it could be that you have a commercial model behind your wiki. For instance, I say there's some money coming in. I want to share this with the community. So you can then choose to pay something back to them, preferably in HUGS tokens, of course. So that's another utility for the token then. So you can get rewarded we're working on that reputation system as well, where you can stake your reputation, for instance, and we're looking at other ways of actually letting people build out a reputation on chain, which is a hard nut to crack, but it's one of our aims actually to get to the point where you can actually work on several different dApps, contribute there, and then showcase, yes, I am an honest person. Yes, I am an expert in this field, and my contributions are legit. Same goes for the reviewers. So a contributor can also be a reviewer. If he can show his expertise by his contributions that he's done and by the reviews that he's done, and he can stake some money or some coins to back up his reputation, as soon as he starts scamming, for instance, he will lose that money that he's put on the line. So
that's the escrow. That's the escrow part of it, isn't it?
That's the escrow part.
To committee, and whoever wins, it goes to the committee. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there's like a dispute committee as well, which are basically reviewers as well. Imagine that you, as a client, say, hey, there's this contribution that got accepted by the reviewers, but I don't agree with it. This is wrong. You can send it to the dispute committee, which are randomly assigned reviewers then that are picked, where we say, okay, can you have a look at this? Is this complaint of the client, is this legit or not? And then if they say, yeah, the client is right, this contribution was totally fake, for instance, then they get part of that escrow amount actually as a reward. And yeah.
I see. Okay, so so can I kind of explain how my understanding is? So maybe a local government could say something like, we're spending like £5 million or dollars on cleaning the streets of our city. Let's try for 1 year just to put like rewards via hugs on it, and we'll put 1 million up, and they try it, and people clean the streets and they win tokens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If there's a dispute, of course, it might be, show me photos that you've done this, and timestamp photos, stuff like that. Since it's decentralized, like you said earlier, okay, so initially it will be on Solana. So that means that anyone will be able to build an alternative user interface into your system.
Yeah.
But what will be the benefit for them? Like, what can they get from it if they have an alternative user interface?
Well, we want to give developers the total freedom of how they want to work with this protocol. Our main aim is having a protocol that can be used for collaborative working, for microtasking. We don't want to push this in a certain direction and say, hey, this is the set of tools that you need to use, and this is how you need to build your solution. Because I am convinced that if we keep this open, that we can actually tap into the collective knowledge of the developers, but also their creativity to do new things on top of this protocol, things that we haven't even thought of at this point. And I am convinced, by showing initially what we can do on top of the protocol by building a couple of apps together with some partners, that this will trigger this creativity in the developer space. And then I want, this is something that we want to give to the world. Because this is coming, no matter how you spin it, but decentralized working and microtasking and collaborative working, this is coming. This is a booming market, and it's growing rapidly. I think, there's a way to do this where you keep everything centralized, but you get an element of centralized control there, and you sort of get censorship then as well as to what kind of apps are allowed and which ones aren't. Most companies will focus on a specific business niche, Whilst the blockchain gives us the possibility to open this up and say, hey, here's the bottom layer. You know, it can process this kind of data. You can build whatever you want on top of it, as long as it's, you know, it's for this use case. So it's a lot wider there. I think this is the best way of success of having a global ecosystem as fast as possible, because you know that will be part, or that's one of the factors that determines the success. How fast can we grow this ecosystem? And we have to be smart about this and come up with a way where we can grow this as fast as possible. And by opening this up, this is our best shot at letting this go mainstream after a while.
Okay, I mean, if you look at traditional like small task systems like TaskRabbit, for instance, I don't know if you've used that. It's not used much in Europe.
I know the tool, yeah.
Have other people tried to do this in the non-crypto world and go up to governments and speak to governments and say, we can do microtasking for you? Or is it something?
Yeah, sure. Even big tech companies do that. You know, I've been a product designer and a product manager for startups, but also for big tech companies for almost 25 years now. I've seen several initiatives there to involve the crowd, but you know, the key learnings that I took from that is, first of all, the network is usually too small, so it costs them a lot of money to attract new people to do this, because their own customer base is often not enough. People are often poorly rewarded. There's all sorts of people trying to game the system, so there's no control system to guard over the quality. And you know, I listed up all these issues that I found in the traditional systems, and yeah, that's what we try to solve with our solution. There are some good solutions there, but again, I think their scope is too narrow to really go mainstream. And yeah, to widen up the scope, you need those control systems, and you need a different platform to build this on.
Okay, so if you're like a local government, and do you think local governments will buy the HUGS token? Like, say for example, they say, because the way they do budgeting, they might work like 6 months in advance or something for a certain budget.
Yeah.
So they would then have to say, okay, we'll buy $500,000 of HUGS tokens, and we'll use that over the next 6 months to do tasks. Is that the sort of thing you're envisioning?
Yeah, well, actually, we're a protocol, so you will have to pay fees to use our protocol. So there's no doubt about that. And at a certain point, you will need to buy some tokens to actually pay for your transactions on the platform. Now, it's up to every organization, whether being a government or a large corporation. They also have budgets, as you know, or a startup. They will each have to decide for themselves how do they approach this. It's not different from buying software license as a large organization. You have to budget that in as well, and there's always price swings. You know, I come out of that world. I've worked in the software licensing business. You often large organizations and governments often have hundreds of suppliers in that space. They try to budget it in, but yeah, there's also the unforeseen factors. The beauty of this is that you can actually have your own app built on top of the platform, but also, you know, you decide how you want to run the campaign. Is this going to be something that you want to run continuously, and say, okay, I want to be flexible with my budget. You know, if there's more use here, then it's going to cost me more money. Or is this something where you say, okay, we want to run this for 3 months, and we want to have 10,000 contributions in those 3 months, and it's going to cost us this much money. And so then you can factor in that cost element a lot better. Also, you don't have to buy all those tokens all at once. If you know that you know, we're going to run this for like 6 months, for instance, and on average, I will have to spend like every 2 weeks this many tokens. you could buy them every 2 weeks or every week or every day for all I care. So that's totally up to then, yeah, the people in the management of the company building on top of this.
Okay. So since most of the crypto projects at the moment, I would say are or have been in the DeFi space. This isn't, I wouldn't call this DeFi. This is more of an actual application. I mean, how have other crypto companies reacted to it? Are you starting to get copycats already? Or?
No. There are people that contact us and ask us if they can make like a white label clone of what we're doing. So that has happened quite a few times already. You know, it's not very useful to make a clone of this because it's an open protocol. So you know, you want to build on top of this, do your own thing and have your own branding. You know, the underlying layer. It doesn't really matter if there's a copy of it. I don't think that this brings any added value. Will there be copycats? Well, you know, I truly hope there will be more initiatives in the space, so there will be some competition. I think competition is healthy, and it keeps us sharp. You know, and you can then benchmark with other projects. Okay, how are we doing? How are they approaching this? And so I really do hope that there will be more projects in the space. I think we have the first mover advantage at the moment. And, you know, I've seen how much work this is to think this through, and then to build this, and then to build those relationships with potential clients. And so it's like a cluster of things that you have to factor in. So I'm not too worried that there will be a competitor by tomorrow or by next week or anything. So, yeah. At the moment, you know, we're leveraging on that first mover advantage, and we're steadily actually progressing with our project.
Okay, and you have some proof of concepts already running at the moment. So
yes, we do. Yes, we
do. I don't think I have any more questions. So, could you explain for the audio listeners just like where people can find you, and then you can talk for a few minutes offline. So.
Yes, of course. So if you want to read more about what we're doing, go to hugs.solutions. So that's hugs as in hugging.
That's 1G. That's 1G.
Yeah, so it's HUGS .solutions. That's the domain name. And then, yeah, you'll see there's a section about the HUGS protocol, which is the very core, and there's a section about what we're building on top, which we call the HUGS platform. It's basically the first set of solutions that we're building on top of it. There's a white paper that you can read. You can sign up for the newsletter. We also started the private sale of our HUGS token. This might be interesting to mention. We're one of the very first fully regulated token sales in the world. So we're doing this from Gibraltar. So this is also different from what happens in the crypto and the DeFi space and stuff. And then, yeah, I would say for the listeners who are interested, reach out to us. We're also on Twitter and on LinkedIn if you want to follow. You know what's happening with our company.
Okay, sounds good. And thanks for today, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.